Well, we're taking a look now at the editorial. Dr. Martin Mungwa, who is Ambazonian's spokesperson and Secretary of State for Communications and IT, has said in his special editorial, strongly questioning who gave Agbor Balla the mandate to speak for Ambazonians. He argues that Agbor Balla represents only himself, not the people or the liberation movement. Despite being Ambazonian by origin, he says Balla's recent position, particularly his promotion of decentralization, stands in direct opposition to the people's demand for total independence. Dr. Martin Mungwa accuses Balla of abandoning the cause, using his platform to pursue personal relevance rather than represent the sacrifices, blood and pain endured by those fighting for freedom. His words, dressed in diplomacy, are seen as tools of compromise that betray the very struggle he once claimed to support. Now, in Dr. Martin Mungwa's view, Agbor Balla is no longer a voice for Ambazonia. He's merely Ambazonian by origin, and his actions should be remembered as such in the historical record as a betrayal to the actual struggle of Ambazonia. Well, let's take a listen at the audio from Dr. Martin Mungwa.
This is the voice of Ambazonia, broadcasting across the homeland and the diaspora. Today's special editorial from the Voice of Ambazonia is titled, Who Mandated Agbor Balla? Fellow Ambazonians, once again, we are forced to ask a question that should not even be necessary in a land crying for justice. Who mandated Agbor Balla to speak for us? Who sent him to campaign for one Cameroon when the people of Southern Cameroons have made it abundantly clear through their blood, their ballots, their boycotts, and their burial grounds that they want absolute separation? Let the record show. Agbor Balla speaks for himself, not for the martyrs of Gabu, not for the mothers of Moyuka, not for the millions displaced across Nigeria, the forests of the Libelem Hills, or the concrete jungle of foreign refugee camps. He was in Canada, speaking. He joined the so-called Grand National Dialogue, smiling. Now he resurfaces again, selling lies of coexistence, dressed up as peace. But Balla knows better. He knows because Cardinal Christian Toomey himself commissioned a poll that found that over 69% of Southern Cameroonians want total independence. Not decentralization, not federation, not more bilingual signboards, but complete and irreversible separation. So we ask again, who cursed this bachelor boy? What drives a man to ignore the graves of his own people just to sit comfortably among those who dug them? Let it be known across the valleys and the mountains. Agbor Balla has no mandate. He is not the voice of Ambazonia. He is merely an Ambazonian in name only, or an Aino. To the international community, be warned. Do not confuse positional ambition with popular representation. To every Ambazonian listening, stay alert, stay informed, stay committed. We are not here to adjust chains. We are here to break them. This is the voice of Ambazonia, and our position is unchanged. Total and absolute independence for the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Agbor Balla was never sent. He doesn't speak for us, and he will never win. Have a great day.
All right, Barrister Mbeseha, not once, not twice have we talked about people who are Ambazonian by origin, but not Ambazonian at heart. And in that voice note from the Secretary of State for Communications and IT, we see that point being reiterated. Now, this action from Agbor Balla trying to speak for the entire Ambazonia knowing where he really stands. What are your thoughts about this, Barrister Mbeseha?
I think my thoughts about it have been clear forever. I will only emphasize, to re-emphasize what has been said many times. See, Agbor Balla takes advantage of being relevant because we're talking about him today. Does Agbor Balla exist as a human being? Of course he does. Does he stand for us, Ambazonia? Does he stand for what we stand for? Certainly not. But he's getting undue notice because of the positions he takes. Is that news? No. We know that there are Ambazonians who would prefer to die in their own day, who would prefer never to go free, like the Chibotolesis of South Africa, than to go free. Ambazonia is one of them. They have the right to that. But our problem is they try to pose as leaders of Ambazonia, which is not right. They pose as leaders and they're encouraged by the administration to do the same. And who has not heard of Ochiba Nelson? Ochiba Nelson has a very short line sometimes. He has repeated it many times. If you allow someone to appoint your leaders for you, you lose the game. Because the ones appointed by your opponent to be your leaders are going to tell the narrative of the appointee, the man who appointed them. And so Agbor Balla was in Yaoundé for that national dialogue. He loved the federation as he stands for it. What did he do with it? Produced nothing out of it. He was even chairman of one of these things of the so-called decentralization. What has become of it after 5 years? Zero. Agbor Balla is not alone. He's just being vocal. He's not alone. We remember people like Mr. Dr. Munzu and many others. There are many of them. Our problem is not their existence. Our problem is they posing as if they represent us. No, they don't represent Amazonia. They are free to go do what I've said it many times here. If it is the election you want to vote, Agbor Balla lives in Buea. He can move to Douala just a few kilometers away to vote if he so desires. And so that should not be the thing. Agbor Balla is irrelevant. Agbor Balla knows, and if I can use the opportunity to emphasize it, the problem of Ambazonia is not peace. We're not looking for peace. The problem of Ambazonia is not stopping the war. The problem of Ambazonia is addressing the causes of the war, which causes everybody is assimilation of the problem of Ambazonia is the restoration of their own statehood and their own institutions. It is this absorption that has caused the war. Until you address those issues, talking about peace is selling after the market. And so I guess, as Balla is not alone, not too long ago, Mr. Paul Ayame so rest in peace. He died in Buea. He lives in Cameroon. He too was one of the put off federation. But what happened? They will not even take him to Asuta because he will not speak their language. His son floated in a humanitarian group just to help the victims of this war. But because he was not speaking the language that are the ones, they could. And so Agbor Balla is irrelevant. But he's making himself relevant because we are talking about him today. So the message we send to Agbor Balla and many others who follow his steps, who have the same views with him. Ambazonia struggle. The fight now is not about peace. The fight is about the restoration of Southern Cameroon, aka Ambazonia, and its institutions, which institutions include a government that he had in Buea in 1959-1961. They include our House of Assembly. That's an institution. That is a characteristic of a people. That's what we want. We want that thing back. We want our judicial system established, as was created in 1955 under the West Cameroon High Court law. That is what we are fighting for. We're not fighting for a return to peace. Peace without justice is not peace. And there can be no justice until you listen to the causes, you listen to your complaint before a neutral person, and then a neutral judge will give a judgment. That's what the struggle is about. It's not about Agbor Balla. I know him very, very well. Agbor Balla, the position he took in 2016 as the leader of the consortium was not an elected position. No. He got there as a member of the civil society. He got there as the president of the faculty lawyers. He was not elected by people of Amazonia. He was the president of the faculty lawyers and got there. And then when his mission finished, he sold it out to Yaoundé. We went about to the colonial government in Buea and has since become their agent. And so we don't lack agents. We don't lack, there are thousands of them in Amazonia. Some of them even better placed at the presidency, holding ministerial positions. They don't represent us. As Dr. Mungwa just said, what late Christian Tumi said, was a reflection of a person in that capacity as a human being, in that person capacity as somebody who represents a Christian institution. That will do nothing, tell nothing but the bare truth. If the Ambazonians want to go away, he said, which is survey showed more than 67% wanted to go away, let them go. They came into the union with their free legs. They came there by themselves, if there was no union at all. Who is a woman who goes to marry a man who will never let her divorce him? The cost of trying to divorce a man, if the man is no longer palatable, is death. Who accept that in the world? No. Even animals choose their own jungles. They carve out their own territories where they rule over. And any intervention from another similar animal, call it lions, elephants, will provoke war until they go back to their own territory. That's what this is all about. Let Mr. Agbor Balla fit where they fit. He like the federation which I've been here preaching. Let him go and preach the federation in Mbeseha, in Garowa, somewhere else. We don't need his federation in Kumba, in Boya. Because we already know what the federation brought to us in 1960, 61. And so we're not part of it. Let him do his thing the way they were, with his own acolytes. There are many of them. We're just mentioning him because he's one who is propping up himself. I saw him on video going to talk to Isa Chiroma. Oh, how they will bring peace, how they will do all this. Well, Isa Chiroma has tried it before. We're telling us that we're nobody. But today, we are forced to be reckoned with. That the very Isa Chiroma who less than 7 years ago said there was no Anglophone problem. He described us as terrorists. Now he sees a problem. And so the Agbor Ballas are many. Again, to quote UN, if you allow anybody to make their own leaders for you, you lose the game. Agbor Balla does not represent us. The likes of Munzu and anyone who feels like that is not for us. They are free to be there. Over to you.